The cornerstone comes from treating every single day like it's the first day of the event. If you do that, it's like, hey, it doesn't matter if yesterday was great. We're going to operate like it's day one. It doesn't matter if yesterday sucked and everything went to hell. I'm going to treat every single day like it's the first day of the event.
Welcome to the 1334 podcast. Today, Rob joins me. After leaving the service, Rob spent years living out of a van, traveling the country, running trails, and crewing some of the most grueling endurance efforts in the ultra-running space, including coast-to-coast FKT attempts across America. Somewhere on those miles, it became clear endurance doesn't just test you, it changes you. Rob wanted to build a platform that could deliver that experience to as many people as possible. Rob has almost died setting records in Italy. He ran 200 miles across Mount St. Helens, 320 miles through Utah, 100 miles in Antarctica, top 50 in Leadville 100, and he has run Bigfoot 200 and creates ultra endurance races and is a crew chief to some of the biggest races in the ultra running space. How are you?
Doing pretty good, man. How are you?
Good. Good to officially meet you. I know we've been messaging back and forth a little bit.
Yeah. Always the DM life on Instagram is a funny one. You get to meet people before you meet them, and then you meet them in real life, and you're like, oh shit, you're a real person.
You're not a bot, actually.
Yeah. It's always interesting.
In what ways has the ultra world changed you?
I don't know if it necessarily changed me, but rather had me learn more about myself. The reason why I got into ultras was through my time in the military. I went through a few selection programs. So essentially, I joined the military when I was 18. I went to this school called BUDS, Basic Underwater Demolition SEAL Training. I didn't make it through. I dropped with a boat over my head. And then I went to dive school, and I went through all of the dive selection programs. So all these selection programs where, if you don't know what that means, you get beat, you're doing workouts all day long, all night long, you're not sleeping much, you're up 20, 22 hours a day training, and you're getting through a lot of hardship and pain. In doing that, I grew up pretty quickly. I learned how to deal with stress decently well. I learned how to manage timelines, or we call in the military time hacks. I was able to build all these different things, and I grew very quickly. Most of the people that were around me in these schools were in their mid-20s. I was only 18, 19. So I grew up very quickly through that, and I got to learn a lot. When I got to my first team, I worked on a SEAL delivery vehicle team out in Virginia. I realized that life had gotten a little bit easier than it was before, and the amount of growth that I was seeing had slowed down drastically compared to when I was in selection. So I knew I needed, I grew through these very hard and deliberate, painful times. Let me recreate those in an artificial sense. My job isn't going to depend on it, right? If I quit in selection school, I would never have the job that I wanted to. But let me do something that's going to push me to my limits. So I signed up for 50K about 6 days after I got off a submarine. It was a day after my 21st birthday. I did the whole race pretty much, for lack of a better term, shit-faced. And it was super sweet because I got to feel that feeling again. And since then, it kind of snowballed into where my life is today.
That was the gateway drug?
That was the gateway drug. It's so much harder. I did that race without any training. So that was one aspect. I wasn't prepared. I didn't really know what to expect. I just knew, run 15 and a half miles in one direction, turn around, run 15 and a half miles in the other. I didn't eat any food. I drank beforehand because it was a night race. It started at 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. So I started pretty trashed. But yeah, and I realized every 6 months to a year, let me do one of these humbling experiences so I can get off my high horse, kick myself back down to the bottom, and understand there's more to grow from.
Yeah, absolutely. Running will definitely teach you that. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I believe that the line between, leadership and endurance sports is pretty slim, personally. The crossover is, it's kind of unparalleled from the perseverance to stick to a vision, to the patience needed just to do something simple like leading different types of people. So what would you say is like what first? What, do you think that connection is as similar as I see it from the outside of the endurance space? Because I run a nonprofit, so I see the leadership side, but I haven't seen the endurance side the way you have.
I would say it's dependent on the person. Some people are not very good at leading, even if they are at least leading teams, even if they do ultras. They might be a little bit better in leading in their own life because they're able to hold themselves a little bit more accountable. Just like if you walk on the side of a street and you see some guy who's jacked, right? It looks shredded. Like they've probably been pretty consistent at least one thing in their life. So it's the same thing when it comes to ultras. A lot of people who do ultras don't look like they do ultras. They just kind of look like they're a little bit thin and they're kind of a little kooky. But it does have that same inward effect of you have accountability. Like you've done the training, you've put in the hours, you've given up the days out or nights out, you've given out your money to nutrition, food, shoes, gear. It shows more commitment than people who don't. But in regards to leading teams, I don't necessarily believe that there's a direct correlation between one and the other. I have plenty of friends who run ultras that I wouldn't trust leading a team at all.
What's a time you had to lead your team through a season when progress felt stalled, and how did you motivate and stay the course?
Few examples on this one. Let's talk about a pretty controversial topic. We were on what we call Transcon. That's the Transcontinental Run. I helped this guy named Paul Johnson run from Los Angeles all the way to New York City. Paul is a very talented runner, a very controversial guy as of late. And always has been. But during the run, we were 2 days in, and I guess 2.5 days in, and we were a little bit behind schedule. Paul stressed about this drastically, and I made the call that we weren't going to necessarily go for the record in terms of exactly hitting 75 miles per day. So we made a post about that on day 4. And Paul did all of his promotion and lead up into this space, or into this event rather, with the, hey, we're gonna run 75 miles a day. We're gonna run across the country within 40 days. Like this is just what's gonna happen, and that's how he promoted it. So people called him a fraud. People called him this, that, and the other. There was a lot of backlash during the run. So from about day 4 to about day 18, no donations. All the content started to tank. During that time, Paul's mom, which was one of the crew members, filled the RV's water source with gasoline, so we had no water in the RV anymore. And then also, somebody left a cap off of the generator for the oil, so the generator blew out. So we had no power and no water inside the RV after day 16. We pretty much had nothing, and there was no donations coming in. You're in the middle of nowhere. Life sucks. So led the team through that pretty well. I try to instill in everyone that I'm on a team with is that every day is like day 1. Day 1, you're always fired up. You're making sure you're minding your P's and Q's. You're dotting your I's and crossing your T's. You're doing the things that you're supposed to be doing. And then as things go on and things go well, you wind up becoming a little bit lackadaisical and a little complacent, and that's where everything will get ruined. So I tell everyone, treat every day like it's day 1, and then you'll be able to move forward. So that's what we did.
It's really good advice. What is it like to see somebody go through that? I mean, obviously you're going through it too, but you know, his name being attached to that and grueling through every mile that he had to for those next 14 days or so.
For me, it's a little bit different, especially back then. I had nothing to do with social media back then. My previous job, we weren't even allowed to have social medias. Like we had to use different names and aliases for who we were. At least we did, just because of operational security. So my goal on this and every single thing I crew is to get the person from point A to point B as safe, fast, and effective as possible. I don't care at all in regards to anything that has to do with social media. So did it affect me to see him go through that? Like, not really. I give him the advice to like, hey, like turn off your phone, like get to work, like get over it. And he's also of that mindset too. He doesn't necessarily care much for people's opinions. He really cares about his own more than anything else, which I think is a very healthy thing, especially when you're in the social media community. Um, People's personas of you may reflect in your own internal well-being if you onboard what they say. So overall, what was it like? I mean, from a physical standpoint, the guy's an absolute monster, right? He took no Advil the whole run, the whole thing, no painkillers of any kind. He was able to hammer about 400 calories an hour, 400, 600 calories an hour every single waking hour of the day. He trains his gut pretty heavily. It is a very controversial way of fueling, especially nowadays. A lot of dietitians getting onto social media and saying, hey, this is not how it's done. However, in a case like this, if you do follow traditional fueling tactics, you're going to wind up losing a drastic amount of weight, which will wind up becoming unhealthy, especially over a 50-day period. Like Paul had 52 days total. And yeah, every runner that I've crewed, for the most part, has either maintained or gained weight throughout these efforts rather than losing him. We got so many different DMs from other crews who have done this in the past, saying that you need to track your athlete's weight. And I was always mentioning, like, I don't think you understand, like, my guy's getting 12 to 14,000 calories a day. And I'm making sure, but every food that we gave him was as calorie dense as we could make it in as small amount of volume as possible. So after we hit the standard macros of like, okay, let's make sure he has his healthy proteins. Let's make sure he has his healthy fats. Let's make sure he has his healthy carbs. You just can't do everything healthy. You're not going to be able to fit the calorie bill at the end of the day, especially like we were running 16-hour days. So
What are your thoughts on the carbs per hour? I know I just watched a video today of, they did some sort of science studies, and they're like, you definitely need 120 grams an hour if you're running a marathon.
Is that the SIF one?
It was some British guys.
Okay. It just depends on what you're running. So I'm going to give you my bro science view, because there's just so many different events. And then I'm also going to give you, my girlfriend's a dietitian. I've been able to be educated a lot more in this space as of late. The scientific answer is most people have a certain limits on how many carbs can be transported in an hour. There is a glucose transporter in your body or bloodstream, essentially. So even if you are getting more carbs, they physically cannot be consumed as fast as you're eating them, no matter your heart rate. That is one aspect of it. Another that I would urge people to ask themselves is, what is this effort? Am I going to be running at 110 beats per minute? Am I going to be running at 150 beats per minute? Am I going to be running at 180 beats per minute? That's going to drastically change up the amount of carbs that you're going to take in an hour. If I'm doing an easy run, I'm probably doing 40 to 50 grams an hour. If I'm doing a harder run, like if I was like my half marathon the other day, I had 70 grams an hour, 75. Other people say, hey, you should be getting in 140 grams an hour. Scientifically, that doesn't work or make sense. However, I've done a lot of events where we're not just running one event. We're running for the next month straight. So I don't care if these carbs aren't being used. I'm trying to make you not lose weight and not have different deficiencies throughout. So
Track their base and what they're burning for that whole day and just get them back to that.
yes, it is if you're going over 12 hours a day, it is near impossible to really. It's like you just need to eat as much as you possibly can, unless you have somebody who's a professional food eater, unless you have somebody who's like actually able to like throw down 3,000 calorie meals, which there are very few people who can. You need to be hitting as much as you can. What I do in regards to during events for a longer event like that, I'll do what's called hit or miss. It just makes the logistics a lot easier. A lot of crews were like, you need to track every single calorie. I was like, we don't have time or the bandwidth. We're all fried. We all have been doing 18-hour days. We're not going to track every single calorie. That's silly. So what I do is called hit or miss. Every hour on the hour, our goal is to be able to reach X amount of calories. It's very different. For Paul, it was 400. For Matt Johnson on round 1, it was 150. For the guy who I'm crewing right now, or I'm getting ready to crew right now, that's going from Mexico to Canada on a bike, we're going to be trying to hit anywhere from 125 to 175. And then if you hit that hour, perfect. Good. Scratch it. Don't remember any of it. It's gone. The next hour, if you miss it, okay, that's strike 1. If you miss it again, that's strike 2. If they get to strike 3, you have to slow down, bring back the effort, and make sure that they catch up on the calories they've missed. And that's how I track calories in events. And then on the main meals, like the bigger meals, it's like, hey man, how much can you eat? And because tracking it and just finding out that you're below calories, like I force fed him as much as I possibly could force feed him. I can't do any more. You can't do any more.
Try and drink some more Coke or beer or something, liquid calories somewhere.
Yeah, we definitely do a good amount of liquid calories. It's also, we do, I'll do in the middle of the night snacks. So I will set out like cookies, brownies, like candy, anything that's pretty heavy in calories and dense by their bed. And when they will, for the longer events, wake up in the middle of the night with night sweats, they're eating.
So in Antarctica, how did the physical challenge reshape what you thought endurance was capable of, what you were capable of?
I think Antarctica was pretty par for the course as I thought it was going to be. It wasn't the hardest thing that I've ever done up to that point. I do believe that the 300 miler and the 200 miler were substantially more difficult than Antarctica. I do think it was pretty insane that that Antarctica is even a place in general. Going into it, I only had 2 weeks of training going into the 100. I had a stress fracture in my right ankle, and I just didn't have the opportunity. I also had compressed my L5, L4 in my spine in August. So, like, I literally did not start running until October for the event that's in November. So, it is possible if you want, and if you truly want to do an event, you can in a limited amount of time. But in regards to, like, did it push what I thought of endurance? Like, honestly, not really. I executed my plan. I ate the calories I was supposed to eat. I ran when I was supposed to run. I walked when I was supposed to walk. It was brutally, brutally cold. And it was just a blessing and a real blessing to be able to go. I hope I'm able to go back one day soon.
Yeah, that's neat. On the calorie and carb thing, so I just did my first marathon, and I did a little research. I have a friend of mine who he has an amazing coach, and so I was talking to him sort of about gels and stuff, and I tried a bunch of different gels till I found what I liked. And going into it, I was like, okay, roughly every 30 minutes I'll take a gel.
Sure.
And I did that 30 to 45 minutes. I was taking the gel. And around mile 18, 19, I just started to die. My legs were full of fluid, and I was just blood, lactate, And it wasn't until about a week later that I realized this whole carb per hour debate. And I realized I was taking about roughly 28 grams of carbs per hour. I was like, well, no wonder I died. Apparently, I'm supposed to have a lot more than that.
You know how much sodium you're having per hour?
I'm not sure. I could get a gel and check it. At so the entire training block, it had been roughly 40, 50 degrees every run that I did. I did a bunch of runs when it was 30 and 20 degrees or so, and then for whatever reason, the day of the race at 9 a.m. it was 95 degrees and like 80% humidity. I was like, this is brutal. And so I was dying. And so my wife ended up getting like 4 ounces of water and pouring a whole element pack in it. And I chugged that at one point, and every little station, every 2 miles, I drank a couple ounces of Gatorade and water. I was just like, I know I need more fluid than I have had this entire, every time I've trained. So I was doing, just water every now and then when I was thirsty. But this time I was like, I know I'm going to need more. So I didn't even really track the sodium.
Yeah, yeah. So those are the two most important things when it comes to nutrition: is the electrolytes that you're getting in. The reason why I believe that electrolytes are, in my opinion, this is debatable, more important than carbs overall, is because if you don't have your electrolytes right, at least in my world, when I haven't had my electrolytes right, that is when I can't eat food anymore. And then when I can't eat food anymore, I then now can't drink the fluids anymore. So now I'm just in this tornado of life sucking. So what I would recommend is you can either do it the scientific way or the bro science way. Scientific way, you go get a sweat test, and the sweat test will tell you how much you sweat out per liter. And then how much you sweat out per hour in liters. And then like how much flipping sodium you're losing per liter of sweat. And then based on the temperature, like you're able to weigh yourself in different temperatures and conditions. You're like, okay, I know that I lose, 2 liters of water, and in each liter I have 500 milligrams of sodium that gets lost. Therefore, I need to be able to do at least 80% of that total sodium loss. That's what I would do with that. And then with carbs per hour, I usually just start everyone off between anywhere from 40 to 50. Most gels, you wind up getting that done. And then just like based on how you feel, you can go higher. I ran a race where I did like 150 grams of carbs for like 5.5 hours. Like, it's possible. I don't know if it's necessarily necessary. I also do believe that there has to be something there. I understand that there's these glucose transporters that you can't, use the amount of carbs that you're getting in. However, tell that to somebody who is like David Roach and an absolute fantastic runner, and this is how he's running. Maybe he's a little bit of an anomaly. Maybe it's a little bit different, just like how some people sweat 400 milligrams of sodium per hour, while other people sweat 1,800 milligrams of sodium per hour, or per liter, rather. It's just very different for each person. Then you have somebody who's like Connor Mance. He's doing about 70 to 90 grams of carbs an hour. He's the marathon American record holder. Everyone just has what works for them.
My first marathon was over 6 hours, so I've got a lot of training to do.
Well, I ran my first ultra took me almost 7 hours.
For the 50K?
Yeah, for the 50K. It took me about 7 hours. And it was the hardest thing that I'd ever done.
I would have been pretty close to that. I would have done it sober, I'm sure.
Well, honestly, maybe the intoxication is what helped me. But definitely, if I tell people that are like, okay, well, my time's this, that, or the other, who cares? The only person that should care is you. And if you want to improve it, then yeah, sure. Be a little bit hard on yourself. Like, yeah, congratulate yourself. But like, don't be okay with where you're at if you want to go further. If you're okay with where you're at, don't compare yourself to other people, because you're just robbing yourself of the joy of what you just did.
Yeah. And in the, nonprofit space, the leadership space, small business, I see all the time. I'm always having conversations where people are like, well, I'm right here and just sucks. It's like, well, dude, you started 2 years ago. Like, oh, well, dude, you started 2 months ago. Dude, you haven't even put your board together yet. You know what I mean? It's like there's, you're always coming from somewhere else. It's, my wife and I had this conversation the other day where we're talking about how, like, I used to live with a good friend of mine, Chandler, and I used to, every Saturday we did something in the house. We'd tear a wall down, we'd rip a floor up and put new tile down or something, change the hot water heater. And every Saturday I was like, God, I don't want to do this. And now I think back, I'm like, those were great times. I was like, I wish I could have one of those Saturdays back with him. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah, yeah.
you never really know when the golden days are. It's almost like my wife and I were saying, it's almost like every day that you're in is really the golden age. It's the golden years wherever you are. It's so easy to see it when it's past tense, but it's always easy to forget that you're always in the best times right now, you know?
I had a mentor of mine send me something the other day, and it was Matthew McConaughey's Oscar-winning speech. You might have heard it in the past, where he says that he always wants someone to look up to, someone to chase, and it was one other thing. But essentially, you always want those people in your life, and the person that he was chasing was him in 10 years from now. So if you're doing that, then the golden days become now, because there's never actually a time where you're going to accomplish where you want to accomplish. It's more you enjoy the progress of accomplishing, regardless of what it is or at what level it is. And that will provide you a lot more sanity and happiness in your life, knowing that there's not an actual end goal. The end goal is for you to work today. The end goal is for you to be able to do things that you want to today that will then help you to get to that 10-year ahead of you version. And when you get to that 10-year ahead of you version, whether it takes you 3 years or 12 years to get there, you still have another 10-year ahead of you version that you're always trying to get to. And that is what produces a substantial amount more happiness than goal-oriented thinking.
Yeah, it's really easy to continually move that goalpost, especially when it comes to something like a small business or like athletic feats. It's like my goal was to finish a marathon and I finished. My first thought was I should have done that in under 6 hours. And then I was like, well, I should do something where I run further than that. You know what I mean? The goalpost is always moving. I had wanted to run a marathon for, I don't know, probably 7 years. It's been in the back of my mind. And then as soon as I did it, I was like, one, I was mad at my time, and then two, I was like, okay, I got to change this. You know what I mean? But it's hard to finally sit at that goal, you know? You finally made it. Just enjoy it for 10 seconds, you know? Have you
Yeah,
seen that with some of your races?
I'm very guilty of that. And I honestly think it's a good thing and a bad thing. I guess it's a bad thing from other people looking out because they're saying, well, you hit this. Inwardly, they're thinking, I can't accomplish that goal. And this person just accomplished that goal. Why are they not happy about it? Why are they not celebrating? Why are they not taking a break? And in my opinion, I've moved away from this goal-oriented thinking, like end goal-oriented thinking, and I'm like, okay, what are the habits that if I do in my life will make my life what I want it to be? And it's not make $1 million or $10 million. It's not run 100 miles in X amount of time. It's like, I know personally my core three. This isn't everything that I go by or everything that I track. But my core three, if I work out, I read. So if I work out for an hour, I read for 30 minutes, and I journal in the morning and I journal in the evening. My day, no matter what, won't be messed up. My day will be, I think, an accomplishment to me if I do those three things. The goal isn't bench 225 for 25 reps. It's not read this entire book this week. It's not make sure like journal X amount of pages. It's like if I just do those things, and it doesn't have to be just a core three, it could be everything that's in your life. Like it doesn't have to be goals. It's habits that get you the goals that are attainable. But once those goals are met, it's the habits that you're happy about, and then you're able to push forward with new goals, which then just reinforce the habits that you already have.
What are you reading right now?
Right now, I am reading 2 books. One is Make Big Happen. That's a book for CEOs and scaling businesses and companies. Just the usual baloney that they reiterate 900 times. Make a vision, build a team, do this, that, and the other. And then I'm just wrapping up Andy Glaze's book that he just came out. Smile or You're Doing It Wrong. If you don't know do you know Andrew Glaze is? For those who do not know who Andrew Glaze is, he's a friend of mine. He's been running 100 miles every week for the past 6 years or so. And he is a wealth of stories and happiness and a great outlook on life. And his story behind it would shock you when you see where he is today. I think it's a great book, and it's actually really well written. I've been trying to write a book for a while, and I'm just sitting there like, gosh darn it, why can't I write a book like this? Maybe one day, but it inspires me. So I'm reading those 2 books.
I have not bought Smile or You're Doing It Wrong yet. I want to. I have, I think, 5 books that I'm like starting right now, and my wife hates when I have a bunch of books. I finished 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel today.
Great book.
It was very good. 10 out of 10 for sure.
What'd you like about it?
I like that. So a lot of the beginning was kind of like you're saying, the typical, like, you need to work hard and be this, the typical jargon. But near the end, he started talking a lot about kind of the technical side of it. It's like some of the stuff about scaling, the questions to ask for, what was it? The questions to ask before you start trying to solve a problem and creating something was really cool, because I thought about to 1334 and some of the whole reason that I've created this is a free media agency for nonprofits. I create free media, from documentaries to websites, for nonprofits completely for free, and started doing this podcast to help share their stories and equip them. And the whole thing, like, the book was reminding me of this, because it's like, that's exactly what I did. I found a niche that I personally believed in to solve a problem that I personally believe in that I haven't seen anybody else do. You know what I mean? So it was really cool, and a good reminder. One, maybe I started this right, maybe. But 2, like, I kind of want to go back and write down every one of those questions and see if I can answer it for this. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It was cool. Yeah, I asked Andy to come on. He sent me his email. He was like, send me an email. So I shot it to him, but haven't heard back just yet. I think with everything that's been going on between all the races he's been doing, he's been
He's
pretty
a pretty busy dude.
Yeah.
Really busy guy.
But yes, I started writing a book too, and I started last March, and it's not easy to write, so I don't blame you for that.
Oh, I'll get to it eventually. I will. Let's focus. I'm focusing on less things, a lot more of less things. Let's close the Amazon business. Let's both focus all on the race directing, focus all on the content behind it too.
The coaching. What mental strategies do you use to keep going when you've been pushing for 24, 48, 72, or 50 days?
So I have it's a straight. I could probably release this as like just a blueprint. I do a 3-step system. Step 1 can be done in one of 2 ways. I only do it in one way. People might think it's egotistical way to do it. Step 2 is a little bit of a cheat code I got from David Goggins. And then 3 is just what everyone talks about. So step 1 is to look outwardly. So when I say to look outwardly, you could do one of 2 things. You either want to build in support, or you want to destroy and conquer. So what I do, what other people should do, or at least the have people should do, is that you go, hey, I'm currently right now in a ton of pain. If I'm in a ton of pain, I know that the person next to me is also in pain. So if I focus my efforts on lifting that person up next to me, that will distract me from the amount of pain I'm in right now. That is one way to do it. I've never done it that way. For the most part, I'll do that when I'm working in a team, but if I'm in a race where I'm usually never in a team, that's not what I do. I do a different way, which is, hey, I'm in pain right now, and I know I can do more than anyone else here can from a mental and physical standpoint of pushing as hard as possible. Therefore, I know that if you're in as much pain as I am, I'm going to last longer than you, so I'm just going to sit here until you quit. And that works. Yeah, that's my bro approach on it. Like, I know that, like, if I'm behind somebody and I know how much I'm pushing and how much it hurts, and granted, I'm not a professional, right? So, like, if I'm going up against David Roach or Killian Jornet, that's not going to work. However, I know that the fields that I have been in, like, okay, these are all normal people. I will win. So that is step one. Step two, when that stops to work or you're just by yourself, I use this method David Goggins has talked about before. A lot of people have talked about. It's called the cookie jar method, where you essentially think back in your life to events that are harder than the current event that you're going on right now or that you're undertaking right now. And you remember that if you've done that, you can do this. And even if you are doing something that's harder than anything you've ever done before, lie to yourself and tell you that you've done something that is harder than what you are currently doing. It doesn't matter if it's true or not. But that's like, okay, like when I was doing Antarctica, it's like, all right, dude, it's not as hard as climbing a massive mountain at mile 285 of a 300 miler in the middle of the sun. You should be happy it's cold outside. Like, get over it. Like, it's not that hard. Or if it could be used for any scenario. It doesn't have to be fitness. That could be used for business. That could be used for family passing. That could be used for anything in your life. Cookie jar method's great. And then lastly, you zero in on that why. Like, why am I doing this? Everyone talks about start with why and all this and all that. And then you laser focus on that until you're in a good enough headspace to leave that. I usually use that why as like last resort fuel. And I go about it that way. So those are my mental strategies.
That's awesome.
I think they work pretty well.
Could you explain what FKT is for somebody that doesn't know?
So in FKT, the verbiage is used for fastest known time. A lot of courses and trails around the country and the world aren't going to be allowed to permit for races. Therefore, people will never really be able to race each other on it in a true standard race format. So what fastest known time is able to do for you is that you time yourself on a specific course or on a specific trail, and you can upload that to a website that is called fastestknowntime.com. And then you are able to get the fastest time on said course. So imagine a popular race that everyone knows, like Western States or Cocodona. Imagine they didn't have permits for those races, but they're still just as popular as they were before. People would be able to race that course by themselves in a non-permitted format and be able to still push themselves in a race style event. So yeah, so there's three categories for it. You have supported, which means that you have a crew or friends that are helping you. Self-supported means that you have either stashed food or fluids or everything on the course, or you go to a convenience store that you have to go to on foot. So you're able to buy things and you're able to pick things up, but you're not allowed to have any physical help from somebody else. And the last is unsupported. You're not allowed to pick up anything. You're not allowed to do anything. You use what you start with is what you finish with. Yeah, unsupported is a rough one.
Not too far from like the Appalachian Trail and all that. So I hear a lot of people talk about. I know a buddy of mine should be recording a podcast with him soon. When he was trying to get sober, that's where he started. So he was like, I need to get sober, and was going through instead of going to another rehab, he started at the bottom of the Appalachian Trail and started work his way up. He said he made it like 2 days and was surrounded by more drugs than he was when he before he left, and he was like, "Okay, I gotta get out of here."
The fastest known time in like through hiking community are a little bit more edgy than your stereotypical race community, especially if you're comparing marathon, like marathon to through hikers or FKTs. It's a very different world.
Oh yeah, FKT's neat. I've been looking at a bunch of them. What's the one that you did in Italy?
So the one I attempted it, I almost died there. Is called Alta Via 2. In Italy, there is a mountain range called the Dolomites, which is in the Italian Alps, and it is one of the steepest, most beautiful, breathtaking places on the planet. And it was 92 miles with 45 or 46,000 feet of climbing and 47,000 feet of descent in 93 miles. And keep in mind, some of the parts of this trail are flat. Therefore, whenever you're on a flat, like 2 or 3 mile section, you need to understand that like that means that whatever's coming up next is severely steeper than 1,000-foot miles. So that was what I attempted Alta Via 2. I got halfway through. A guy owns it by the name of Carl Saab. He has the fastest known time for the Pacific Crest Trail. He had the fastest known time for the Appalachian Trail. He has the fastest known time for across Norway, Iceland. He's finished the Barkley marathons. He's a pretty savage human. And I was on course to beat it. And I was not prepared gear-wise and wound up sliding off the side of a cliff. So it was good. I want to. It's just more of a life thing. I'm moving to New York currently, so I currently live in Salt Lake City. I'm about to be moving to New York. I'm starting up this race company. I have a girlfriend that I think will wind up becoming my wife. I would want to have a family. All these things tie into it. However, Carl Saab has a family, has a wife, has 2 dental practices, and is able to get it done. So maybe I just need to suck it up and figure it out. Do I want to? Yes. Is it in the cards for 2026? No.
So I used to think I was a hard worker. I was going through a ministry school and was working mostly 2 jobs. At one point, I worked 3 jobs and was still going through the school. I thought I was a hard worker. Like, I managed my time well, thought I was a hard worker. And then my son was born. It was about to be 4 years ago. And I don't know what it is. I think it's some sort of scientific, biological thing within us. But I have never worked, from that moment to now, I have never worked this hard in anything in my life. Like, it's not like family-wise or kid-wise, but just life in general, between working my normal 9 to 5, running the nonprofit, doing kid stuff, training for a marathon. Like, I had no idea this level was even possible. So, just some encouragement. Like, I'm
Appreciate that.
well, by the time you have that first kid, I think you might find it too. It's like, I had no idea I could go this long without sleep. I thought I did. I thought I knew until now.
Seriously, let me tell you, I hope that is true. I also hope it's not true, because I have gone an extraordinary amount of time without sleep. So I really hope not. I hope so, but I also hope not. I went 5.5 days with 7 hours of sleep total.
Good Lord. I've done 3.5 on 6 hours, so not quite as bad.
It's a slippery slope. Let me tell you.
It's rough.
The next thing you know, you're signing up for 200 and you're sleeping for 2 hours between 3 days, 4 days.
Dude, how do these people, what was his name? Michael McKnight just did, 10 minutes across like 86 hours or something?
Yeah, Mike's a good friend of mine. He's also my previous coach. Whenever I do coaching, I'm heading towards Mike's way. Shout out Mike. Mike also has had pretty bad sleeping habits in general throughout his life. So he's good at not sleeping. Just like Paul Paul Johnson, who I crewed across America, is a terrible sleeper. That helps drastically when it comes to these things where you don't necessarily need as much sleep because guess what? You're used to not sleeping. Like nothing's different compared to where it has been. In Bud's, there's a bunch of stories of hey, how did this guy make it through a hell week and how did he do this, that, and the other? And he's like, well, yeah, I sucked since day one. So since day one, the instructors ruined my life. So when it came to hell week, you guys just started to experience what I was experiencing every single day of my life. It's like it wasn't that difficult. So for someone like Mike or like Paul, when they get 10 minutes, it's, hey, I've already been bad at sleep for a long time. And it's not that difficult. Also, in defense of Mike, I mean, he's run 20 of these at this point, 20, 30 of these at this point. He's very experienced, so he understands the game that's being played.
He's a savage.
Yeah, he's great. He's very good.
I just got my wife into, so as soon as I finished my marathon, she was like, you enjoyed it. I think I'm going to start running. So she just started. And so I signed up for a 12-hour ultra. And she signed up for the 3 hours. So this is going to be her longest run ever.
Perfect.
And so she was like, I showed her the King of Moab documentary. She's like, this is so cool. I was like, it is cool. It's that these types of videos are the whole reason that I even want to run anyway. And she was like, is there any others? So we started watching all sorts of them. We watched The Chase the other day. And so she knows who Mike is now. And right when it started, she was like, I bet some random guy's going to come in and win. And I just didn't say anything. So as soon as Harry shows up and he wasn't interviewed the whole time, she was like, I knew it.
Yeah. It is true, especially when people are trying to make docs and stuff. There is always a sleeper. Like right now, 21 minutes ago, the BPN Ultra just started, their last person standing. And yes, you have Harvey Lewis, and yes, you have the people who got first and second last year, and you got this guy, Mark Dowdle, who's a pretty good ultra runner. There is always an opportunity for somebody who is just like a dog, like an absolute animal to come and show up. For example, I have a friend named Cameron Balzer. Cameron Balzer ran around the perimeter of the United States last year.
What?
He ran, or it was in 2024, he ran around the entire perimeter, averaging 43 miles a day by himself without any crew, like camping out on the side of roads. And now he's getting ready to run across America. No one really knows who Cameron is. His stuff started to gain traction at the end of his perimeter run. Like it did decently well, but like now his posts are not, this content doesn't do great. Like people don't know who he is. When someone like that, which by the way, he's running 280 miles a week right now and has been for weeks. When someone like that shows up and you're like, oh, there's somebody who just doesn't care. Like he just trains. Like they just work. And it's cool to see when that happens.
That is cool. I think that was so cool about last year's is because I think their names are Kim and Kendall. They just came out of nowhere. No one really knew who they were. And they tied for first, you know? It's the ultra space is just weird like that. Like you have no idea who's actually working. Social media is not real life, and people forget that.
Social media is not real life, and there are people, as you're saying, that are just absolute savages, and they're just waiting for an opportunity, and they're not even waiting for an opportunity. They don't care about the opportunity. They care about the work, right? They don't give a damn about a goal. They just want to get the work in, and they show up, make it happen.
Just move. I'd planned on napping after this. I feel like I have to go run now.
Do it. I try to run when I nap. I try to have caffeine between 10 and 2 p.m. I feel like that improves my workflow and also improves my sleep drastically. And then I also have this brand I'm sponsored by called Kinetic. It's a ketone.
I was gonna ask you, is that legit? I see people talking about ketone little drinks and stuff. I've tried, it's not ketones, but I've tried the Newtonic drinks, the nootropic, and they were wonders. But I've never tried any of the ketones or anything.
Okay, so ketones are a little bit different. What a ketone is at a basic level is when your body is out of carbs, it breaks down your fat through your liver. When it breaks down for fuel, and that fuel that is produced is called a ketone. So you can have a certain amount of ketones in your bloodstream, and your body's able to use that as fuel. And it can use it for fuel for your brain, and you can also use it for fuel as in your running. Ketones are not the preferred fuel source of the body. However, it is able to be used in conjunction with carbs in regards to your brain function. So I personally do not recommend like, oh, I'm about to go on a run. Let me hammer a ketone and no carbs. Life's gonna suck if you do that. There's a whole bunch of science behind that, which I'm not gonna get into. But in regards to mental focus, like, okay, I'm kind of tired right now. I've been staring at my computer screen for 7.5 hours. Let me go grab a can, crack it open, get it done. Let me go grab this one real quick. Because honestly, it's about that time. I just usually go for the cans. They also have shots as well. But in one of these is 12 grams of ketones. In your bloodstream, that would come out to like, for people who measure, it would come out to like a 1.2, 1.5 in your ketone levels. I think it's great. It's sustainable energy so that you're not going to crash, essentially. I do not recommend it pre-run. I would recommend it post-hard workout is fantastic. If you just did a hard lift or you did a hard run and you don't want to feel zapped for the rest of the day because your central nervous system is fried because you just maxed out. Or if you've just been working for a long time in front of the computer, you don't want to eat any more food because you think you're going to crash, crack one of these.
Sounds perfect. Is that a buy on Amazon kind of thing?
It's a great question. I should know that. You can buy it with my code if you want, or you can probably get it on Amazon or just their website, kinetic.com.
Sweet. I'll try to use your code. I'm sure it's on your Instagram.
Should be. Again, I'm a terrible influencer. I just like to promote things that I believe are good, and this is one of those things that I believe is good. I do not suggest using it before a workout. I think it's a terrible idea. I want to post that.
I was wondering for, just you talking about working out for, resilience. How do you personally foster resilience in your team, so they can get through whatever the tough time is, just like you personally do in the ultra? Do you go back to those 3 mental strategies for them personally, or does it translate like that, or how do you do that?
I think there's a couple of different parts to it. One, firstly, which I recommend to everybody that I go onto a team with, and just everyone in general, you need to have some sort of a routine. Just like if you take a dog off of a routine, it might act a little bit differently. When you throw yourself off of a routine, it's gonna make you feel a little bit imbalanced. It's gonna make you feel a little bit on edge. It's gonna be making you feel a little bit not happy. Plus, the added stress will then make you not be able to perform at the level you want. So first thing, if you have an event like, let's say, Run Across America, where you're going to be going for so long, make sure that you have a 5-minute routine, 5-10-minute routine that you can do in the morning, and the evening, so that you're able to ground yourself. These are the things like mine, like I always say, like in my normal life is workout, read, and journal. Like on a Run Across America, I'll be like, all right, like let's do like in the morning, like I'm gonna journal in the morning. Like that's just like what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna wake up, I'm gonna journal, and I'm also gonna throw on a little bit of like the exact same song, or I usually would have, just it's gonna sound pretty crazy. I'll put on like a thunderstorm, like while I'm journaling. And it's and then maybe like I'll have a coffee. I don't usually have coffee, but let's say you put a coffee, right? So now you get the smell into it. So you're getting all of these senses involved in regards to your routine. So you have, your sense of touch, you have your sense of hearing, you have your sense of smell, you have your sense of sight. You're trying to get as much as you can into this routine in a short period of time to ground yourself. That's step one. Step two, from a leader side, in these events, it's whoever's in charge of the crew and whoever the crew is for are the two main pivot points of the team morale. So from my standpoint, I need to everything is okay. I'm never going to show that everything is not okay. And if something is not okay, we're going to fix it, but I'm not going to go, "Oh, woe is this." Make sure that you are a brick and a cornerstone in that team. And then if your athlete or whoever you are supporting isn't able to perform or they're getting a little bit down, you need to try to motivate them, but then also let them know, hey, your attitude directly reflects off the attitude of everyone else in this. So whenever you're down, everyone else is down. Like you need to suck it up or just keep it quiet. Because what you do will affect everything else that happens on this team. So if you're able to hit that, it works out really well. And then if somebody actually asks for advice, yeah, I'll give them like the 3-step system or something to be able to help them. But people don't like advice they're not asking for.
The way you stay that cornerstone, is that through like a more stoic type of mindset, or like just being concrete in facts, or where's that cornerstone coming from?
The cornerstone comes from treating every single day like it's the first day of the event. If you do that, it's like, hey, it doesn't matter if yesterday was great. We're going to operate like it's day one. It doesn't matter if yesterday sucked and everything went to hell. I'm going to treat every single day like it's the first day of the event. When you do that, your personality and what you have inside of you will be seen and contagious to those around you. So that's how I make sure I'm locked in every single day. Every day is like day one.
That's good. So how is endurance in running? How does that mirror navigating things in life, normal life, from fundraising to I mean, you're moving now. Like, how does it help you stay balanced?
Balanced, or how does it help me in general?
Maybe more so how it helps you in general.
I think that voluntary hardship makes involuntary hardship easier. That is one of my pillars when it comes to who I am as a person. That's why I manufacture as much hardship into my life as I can through these events. And I do believe it's important for everyone else to as well. Because doing a move where I'm moving away from my friends, I'm moving away from the mountains that I love, the weather that I love, to back to the Northeast. I grew up there, but I know exactly what I'm getting myself into. I don't enjoy it as much as I do over here. However, my family's there and all. That is a lot easier than running up mountain at mile 180. Let me tell you, it is so much easier. Or when I first started, I was doing business. And when I first ran my first ultra, I was doing day trading at that point. So like doing all the research, staying up late. Guess what? It's a lot easier than selection was. And it's a lot easier than, the drunk 50K. And then when it came to real estate, I was like, okay, like 150 cold calls is a hell of a lot easier than it is to run the last 10 miles of a 100-miler. It's so much easier. So when you, or God forbid, when you lose a family member or somebody else loses a family member and like they need someone to be a brick or they need you to be able to be like a cornerstone, like you're able to do it because you've worked in that environment productively before. And it doesn't have to be ultra marathons. I tell people, if you want to do something hard and you're like, well, I can't run. Okay, cool. I want you to tell me how many pages in a book you read a day. How many pages in a book do you read a day? If you were to read for an hour.
If I read for an hour, it'll be I read roughly a page to a page and a half a minute. So roughly.
Okay, so roughly about 60 pages a minute, or 60 pages an hour. Okay, I would recommend that if you want to do something really hard, you get a 400 to 5 no, probably 500 page book, maybe a 600 page book. You're going to set up snacks, water, everything on a table next to your toilet or like nearby a toilet, and I don't care if you comprehend a single word of anything inside that book. You need to read every single word that's inside that book in one sitting without stopping. That is the exact same mental hurdle and obstacle course that ultra running is. So, if you're able to manufacture that voluntary hardship into your life, it'll make involuntary hardship easier.
I set aside one day to finish an entire wedding film in a day. It it felt a lot like reading an entire book in one sitting. That was
Yep.
rough. And it
Sucks.
was nonstop. I think it took that time. I've gotten way faster. I think that time took me like right at 10 hours, but since then I've done entire wedding films in 4 hours and stuff like that. So it definitely, you know, the more you do hard things, the easier they become for sure.
Yeah, and then also like some people are so their life is so easy for the most part that oh my gosh, the sauce that I wanted at the grocery store is out of stock. What am I gonna do? You're like, who cares, dog? I just worked 15 hours on a movie. I couldn't care less if there is sauce. I just need food. Like, just give me food and I'll be happy.
I Yeah, that's really cool. That's such a good because so I I see a lot of people that, it's mostly on social media that are just upset at just random stuff. Oh, so and so was out of this, or I had a terrible experience at this restaurant. It's like, well, dude, I was not too long ago, I was in a place where if you wanted food, you just had to hope and pray that what you got was clean. You know what I mean? Like you just hope you aren't sick when you get done with this. Like if you want power, flip a switch and just pray that it's there. You know what I mean? It's like you're oh yeah, the storm knocked your power out for a couple hours. Sorry. Like you're going to be okay, buddy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It yeah, I think maybe it's just the Western world has gotten way softer than it should, and
Yeah.
that voluntary hardship's brilliant. I just did a podcast with a guy he's like a strength coach, and that was one of the things that really led our whole conversation. I was like, I started working out and lifting and running and everything because I need my brain to work really well. Like this just is what it is. If I would need to function at any capacity whatsoever, I just need my brain to work right. The only way to do that is for my body to work right. And hopefully, move at least a little bit every day, get a couple miles in every day or whatever it is. Um, I think that's a missing piece. That's something that a lot of nonprofit leaders that I know personally that they haven't tapped in yet. Like they're leading incredible organizations that are doing phenomenal stuff, taking people off the street, getting people into safe homes, all across the country. But one thing that they haven't done is prioritize themselves, whether it be physically or mentally. You know what I mean? It's really easy to neglect personal investment for sure.
Yeah, and people will reflect being like, well, Elon Musk doesn't sleep, or oh, like whatever this person doesn't do that, and he eats a burger every single day. And it's like, okay, you're comparing yourself to the anomalies of the anomalies that were able to make it happen. You don't understand the majority of the people who accomplish what you accomplish are doing that level of benefit in their life. And it doesn't have to be a lot. You don't have to be a professional athlete. You don't have to be a super reader that's reading 6 books a month. All you have to do is just, as you're saying, do something that's able to people. I keep on hearing like people say, "Oh, well, Musk doesn't do this, Musk doesn't do that." I was like, I understand. He is the most productive human on planet Earth. I concur. I'm not going to deny that in any way, shape, or form. However, guess what? You are not. And guess what? You will not be. That's like me saying I'm going to run a sub 2 hour marathon. Guess what? Guess what's not going to happen? I'm not going to be the fastest human on the planet. I know I'm not. It's never going to happen. So don't act like it is.
I get so annoyed with the Elon Musk and I have the same 24 hours in a day. Not really. He's not cooking every meal of his own. You know, how much time do you spend with your kids and how much time does he spend with his kids? You know, like we don't all legit have the same 24 hours. So technically, yeah, maybe mathematically, but it's not at all the same thing.
No. Also, for the people, there's a book coming out about him from the same guy who wrote the book about Raval Navikant. I forgot what the book is called.
The Almanac of Naval.
Yep.
I read that earlier this year.
He's making the same thing on Musk.
That's awesome.
And I was listening to a podcast on it, and he's sitting there. He's like, I don't think you understand when he says that he has a manic priority, but essentially like he needs things to be done. What takes other people 6 weeks to do, he will force upon his team to do within 18 hours. And if you don't want to be a part of that, he's like, then just leave. Like, it's fine. Like, it's completely fine to not want to do this, like to have a life, but understand that if you're working for me, there is no life, there is no anything else other than fucking work. And for people to insinuate that they think that they can do it without ever even having the ramp up of being able to get to that level, right? Like, he probably didn't have this level of prioritization and manic timelines as he does now. But he's been working on businesses for 40 years. You know? That's like me saying, oh, I haven't ran a marathon. I'm going to run a sub 2:30 next month. It's never going to happen. And then you beat yourself up for it because you have that desire to be able to do it, and you're not going to be able to. So you're managing your expectations or in your desires, or you're managing, or you're just managing your sadness.
Yeah,
at that point.
It's that book, Almanac of Naval. I had no idea who he was until I read that book earlier this year, and it was awesome. Have you read Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell?
I have not yet. I should.
So in it, a lot of what he talks about comes down to, I guess, my dumb person way of putting it is luck. You know, like so-and-so was born at the right time. Bill Gates was born at the right time. Bill Joy, who, wrote so much of the code for the internet, was just born at the right time in the right place. The percentage of, humans being able to born at that place at that time is, one, and it was that guy. It made me think a lot about, I wonder if I just wasn't lucky enough to become who I want to become. You know what I mean? It was a hard read at first because I was like, maybe I just am not lucky. Maybe that's what this is. But then I started thinking back on, well, I had this guy who trusted me to let me come to India to film my first documentary. Then I had this guy that helped me get my first job doing only media. Then I had this guy that trusted me to run his entire nonprofits media at first. And then he's the same guy who helped me found 1334. I was like, maybe I have been lucky, and it's like we were talking about earlier, like I didn't know it when I was in it. You know what I mean?
That's true. Personally, I think that luck is manufactured partly. Like, you might have heard of the term, like, luck is work meets opportunity. Like, I could present you with the greatest commercial multifamily deal that you've ever seen, but if you never underwrote a property, guess what you're not going to do? No, it's the greatest deal as you've ever seen. I mean, you were lucky to go see it. No, you weren't. You were unlucky that you didn't put the work in, right? So it's a two-part equation of, if somebody's worked hard, then the opportunity presents itself. So maybe some opportunities, or maybe more opportunities are presented to some people than others. I'd agree with that. But I think this idea of like, oh, you got lucky, it's like, there's a really big part of that equation. Like, the X is the opportunity. The actual known value is the amount of work that you put in to get to that point. And the more work you put in there, the more you can multiply the value of that opportunity. It's not one plus, like it's not work plus opportunity equals luck. It's work times opportunity equals luck. And the more you put in that work, when that opportunity presents itself, you could multiply it far past where you could if you didn't put that work in.
There's a saying, I think it might be on a t-shirt or something, but it's the harder I work, the luckier I get.
Yeah.
When you think long term, what kind of legacy do you hope that endurance, both running and also in your leadership, will leave on the world?
I want to introduce people to the benefit that I get out of ultra running and that I got out of ultra running when I first started. Now it's more of a passion. Before, it really was, I need to humble myself and I need to also do something so hard that I know that other things can be done in my life, or all this growth and everything that I was able to accomplish from those ultras that I did. Right now, my current BHAG or Big Hairy Audacious goal is to have 100,000 individual signups for my race, all of my races. Because if I have 100, let's say only 25, I think it'll be more than 25%. Let's say 25% of people experience the same thing I did. That means 25,000 people's lives have changed for the better. And if I can carry on making ultras and endurance more accessible to every single person possible, that's why I'm giving out these free coaching plans. That's why I'm trying to like make races a little bit more affordable. I have a race that we're giving away a minimum of 5,000, but if the race permit fills out, we'll give away $100,000 in prize money. Just because like that enables people and that shows more people that it's possible, and that's able to grow the sport, that I think would be very helpful for other people. So that's my goal. If I could change 100,000 people, or if I could have 100,000 people sign up, individual different people. It doesn't mean like if the same 200 people sign up every single time, then I guess that's not what I want. I want 100,000 individual people to sign up for my races.
Every what's that saying? Every number is a story. Every number is a person. Every person has a story.
Yep.
Like when you think back to, like, I can think. So I have podcasts that will do like 20 views. Then I have a podcast that'll do almost 2,000, and it's like, what's the difference? But it comes down to, if all 20 of those people were positively impacted, that's a huge, if 100% of the people that watch this were positively impacted, that is unbelievable. If they left with a piece of wisdom that they needed, if they leave motivated, if they leave, with whatever if they leave feeling heard and understood, then I'm making a positive impact on the world. It doesn't have to be, it's so easy with, the way that YouTube is set up and everything. It's like, well, this is getting 200, where that guy, he paid $100,000 for that video and he has, 3 million views on it. It's like, well, there's a difference. You know what I mean? It's like, it's less about entertainment and more about making an impact, I think that's, so when and where are your races?
Right now we have 2 races that are set up. We have, first is the Longhorn Last Person Standing. That is actually right outside of Austin, Texas. That is on December 5th. And then we also have the Bootleg Boogie, which is a 100-miler, 50-miler, and half marathon. That is out in Las Vegas. And that is January 30th.
Nice. That's cool. I want to one day set up a fundraiser that's maybe have a 5K, but also maybe a marathon and also an ultra or something. I haven't figured out. So I'm running the High Noon Showdown with Goat Trail Running. Do you know them?
I do not. About to find out. What was it called?
Goat Trail Running?
Goats Trail Running.
One of the directors, his name's Dale. What's his last name? Maybe it's Dale Yarbrough or something like that. But that's the first ultra I'm running, May 30th, and I'm stoked. But Dale said he would.
I see it.
South Carolina.
Yes. Did you sign up for a training plan?
I don't think so.
Well,
I should.
somebody who is running the High Noon Showdown did.
Really? Was that? I don't think I said. Maybe I did. When was that? So I checked my email.
Yeah, no, you definitely would know if you did. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. Somebody did.
That's cool.
So it's
I
like I
know.
recognize these pictures before and the website.
I'm stoked. It's gonna be fun. Hopefully, I'm sure it's gonna hurt
I mean,
a lot too.
fun's relative.
Yeah. I'll get to eat a bunch of sweets. That'll be nice.
It's true. Definitely gonna eat a lot of candy.
Yep. So what keeps you anchored when the path gets long and uncertain?
Gets long and uncertain. I don't necessarily look forward too far on the path. Like I have my 5-year vision, 10-year vision, this, that, and the other. However, if I just focus on the daily metrics that I'm supposed to hit from those habits that I know I track, and if I get those habits done, then the things are good. For example, let's say we're talking about real estate, or let's say we're talking about a 100-mile ultramarathon, and I'm trying to get that done. My goal for the year is going to be to run, let's say, 1,500 miles or 2,000 miles for a 100-miler, right? And I break that into the month, and I'm like, okay, like I know I should be hitting about 130 miles this month, maybe 140 miles or whatever. Like I'm just focusing on that. Like I know that the 100-miler will come. I know that goal will come. I know that the breakdown of that goal of the make sure I run 1,500 miles total for the year will happen if I just focus on whatever is in front of me. Looking forward too far doesn't really do anything. If it's not in my circle of influence in this direct moment, I don't necessarily care.
Yeah. I think that's really easy to not do for a lot of people. It's really easy to, instead of staying compartmentalized, it's easy to try to let every single thing touch each other. You know what I mean? And I think that's
I think
exactly why so
that
many are.
a lot of people do that, and a lot of people think in the future also in a positive light, not just a negative light. And I consider, for lack of a better term, that's just mental masturbation. That's just you sitting there being hopeful of a future that you're not actually working towards right now. And you should be spending your time focusing, the majority of your time focusing on what you have in front of you and what you're supposed to be doing, not what's in the future and what's going to be if you actually do the work that's in front of you. Yes, make sure you go over your 1 year, make sure you go over your quarters and your 5-year and your 10-year. Sure, do that, but you're not doing that all day, every day. You're supposed to be doing the work and not avoiding it, which is what you're doing when you are thinking too far ahead in a positive or negative light.
Yeah, it's really easy for, I know I've done it a bunch of times, even with the book. Like I've got like 90 pages of my book written, but that's part of the reason I told so few people I was training for a marathon. I trained for 11 months and I told hardly anybody because I was like, if I tell people, then it's going to feel like I'm actually doing something. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's like, I have to make sure that I keep it as close as I can because if I start telling everybody, it's just going to, I can't, there's a term where I can't remember what it is now. I should probably go take a nap. But where, you basically like you, instead of ever actually fulfilling the goal, just working toward it and talking about it makes it feel like you completed it. I'm going to lose 10 pounds. And saying that without actually ever taking the steps is mentally feels the exact same way. In your brain, it feels the exact same way as actually achieving it, you know?
Yep. I ran into that problem past couple weeks. I was putting a lot of ad spend towards the races and the free coaching plans. And I was focusing on creating more creatives for all these ads and all these posts. And all of my mentors and friends were sitting there like, well, hey man, because I hop on a call with a couple friends and mentors of mine every week, and we all just bounce ideas of what we have going on in our lives. It's actually a very smart idea to do if you don't have a mastermind like that. But and they're like, hey man, like you have more of a pull in your circle of people, like you making these ad creatives currently are not giving you a return. as it would be speaking to your friends who are massive in the community and asking them if they want to sign up or if they're able to promote it.
Yeah, wow, that's
So like I thought that I was doing a hell of a lot of work and I felt accomplished because I made all these creatives. I made like fucking 140 ads in 2 weeks. Like I was crushing ads. But like none of them were giving me a return. There was no ROAS on that. So you could be barking up the wrong tree if you're not careful.
Yeah. If you want somebody to video in December, let me know. I'd love to come out.
Please, that'd be fantastic. I'm not gonna say no to that. I would never say no to that.
I bet I can talk my wife into it.
100%. We currently, I think we just got our 12th sign up this morning, which honestly, for being this far out, is actually really good.
Yeah, that's legit.
So if I'm able, it's going to max out at 123. I do think that we're going to get it. I also think I'm going to get a pretty good pull of people during this weekend's BPN Ultra.
Oh, really?
Oh, because like,
Is it because they're similar styles?
so it's the exact same style race,
Mhm.
and they have a lottery system, which I respect BPN. I think they're great. Their lottery system coincidentally picked all the BPN athletes that signed up. And also, coincidentally, everyone who else is there is mostly an influencer or professional runner. And there's a few people who actually got in on a lottery. So mine is like first come, first serve. If you want to sign up, and you're able to get a similar experience.
Man, that's cool.
So I
That's
will
really
be
cool.
definitely promoting that this weekend.
Yeah, for sure. I sadly I don't think I'll have this posted by then, but
Oh, you're good. I'm gonna
plenty
be
of time for people
I'm gonna be
to
posting that
sign
for
up.
sure.
Yeah. It's getting close to your time. So just if there's any piece of advice that you'd like to leave with somebody that is either in the boat where they're like, hey, I really need to focus on my physical health and my mental health. I've been leading for so many years, but I haven't actually invested in myself. Or they're in the boat and like, I feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, but nothing's actually working. Do you have a piece of advice or motivation for somebody in that boat?
Well, I guess there's two different boats. For the someone who wants to get started, I would say start small. Like just if you want to get into shape and get your life together, but you're not making your bed and you're laying around watching reels and TikToks all day, like just focus on getting up and making your bed. And then maybe after a few days of that, it's like, all right, we're gonna get up, make my bed, and then we're gonna stack on a part of a habit. Like, okay, let's like go outside. And then you could start to stack things like that if you're just getting started. The second part of your question, if somebody feels like they're just spinning their wheels and getting nowhere, I would, where are you trying to get to? What's your goal of where you're trying to be? And reverse engineer what you should be doing from that. If the way that I do that is that I create a 5-year vision for myself and I make it as detailed as possible. And what I usually do and what I recommend people do nowadays, I just go onto an AI and I say, hey, ask me 15 questions for you to draft up a Disney movie style script of my 5-year vision that I could read to myself once a month.
That's good.
And once you get that, all that detailed out, you're like, okay, what can I get accomplished this year that is towards my 5-year vision? And then once you have that 1 year, you're like, okay, what of these 1-year goals? Can I just break them down just strategically into habits? Do that. Or it's like, hey, I need to break this down even further. Then go into quarters and then break the quarters down into habits. And then it all just comes down to the habits that you do every single day. Yeah. If you know that you want to be the number one real estate person in the world, real estate salesperson, okay, guess what? You know that requires you getting listings. Okay, I want to make sure this year that I do. How do you get listings? Cold calls. Okay, so the everything is from cold calls and advertising.
Yeah.
Guess what? Make the habits on. I'm going to do 2,000 cold calls this year. Okay, cool. That's a goal.
I like,
It's actually doing well.
yeah, I like what you're saying because I see a lot of, no offense to people that love all of the the business gurus online, but there's a lot of the just add sales, just change you need to improve your ROI, just you need to improve your clicks. It's like, I know if you want to double your sales, double the amount you're doing. Well, duh. Like, obviously, this math is math, you know? A lot of this is simple stuff. But so many times I see people, instead of actually giving concrete evidence to this is actually what works, they're like, buy my book. You know what I mean? Not very often are you seeing people that are saying exactly what you're saying. It's like, hey, just set a goal. You know what I mean? When you're doing that, is that for your personal goal, 5-year, or business, or are you doing separate or together?
I do everything together. I put my whole 5-year vision just into one thing, and it essentially goes through my day 5 years from now when everything's accomplished.
Nice.
So it's like, hey, you wake up, you do this, you go here, you do this, you spend time with this person, you go to this part of the business and the business is doing this, and then you drive this and you talk to this person and you're associated with these people and you have these type of friends. Like, it's like, if you could make chat ask you 25 questions for you to answer. Like, the more questions are asked of what your life is going to be like in 5 years, the more detailed you can get.
Yeah. That's good.